You mentioned on the panel that governments in the past, our government in the past, has been focused more so on things like natural resources and agri-food compared to financial services. How's the impression and influence of Canada's financial services industry changed most significantly in recent years?
Yeah, because both Ontario and Canada, focused very much on other industries. We've got a very diversified economy, which is a very good thing, but very little attention was paid to financial services from the economic development perspective, as a generator of jobs in the economy, and as businesses you could attract here to generate more jobs and to invest. So the exciting thing about what's been happening in the last while is that governments, Minister Flaherty, Minister Duncan here in Ontario, are both recognizing that financial services as an industry, not only in Toronto but across the country, is a major driver of economic growth, and the fact that we're also now being seen globally as a good place for financial services companies or companies who support and service financial services companies. Toronto's being seen as a very good location to set up operations. So that is good news. It is certainly a window. I think what probably, there are a couple of things that sort of marked that change. One was that after the global financial crisis, our Canadian financial companies were still standing when many others around the world were not. And Canadians being a bit quirky this way, we never think we're really good at anything until somebody outside the country says we are. So all of a sudden everybody was saying, boy, what are those Canadians doing right? Their banks, their insurance companies, their financial services system is still functioning when ours is, tottering on the brink. So all of a sudden, I think that focused people's minds on what the strength is that we have here, but also the value of a strong financial system. Because in Toronto, in Canada, Bay Street did not blow up Main Street, which of course is what happened both in London and New York and many other global capitals. So the value of that, just from a consumer's perspective, of a strong, stable financial system, but also the value of that as a jobs generator and a jobs attractor, has, I think, been that message, if you will, has been underlined very clearly. So that's sort of created quite a partnership, if you will, between public and private through my organization, the Toronto Financial Services Alliance, to really take advantage of that strength that we have here and to really drive that advantage for more jobs and investment here for Torontonians, Ontarians, Canadians.
Everyone's read about, even those not attached to the financial service industry have read about since 2008 how well our system's held up, have seen how well it's held up. What's something we can do better?
Well, first of all, the first most important thing is don't take it for granted. Just because we missed the last tsunami doesn't mean we'll miss the next one. And so the good news is that our financial companies continue to exhibit the behavior that kept them out of trouble: cautious, careful, conservative, good business culture, good business model. Our regulators continue to exhibit the behavior that they've done, with a good regulatory framework, but also, so it's good regulation, but it's also good supervision. So they're very active, and some days that can create a little bit of tension between the industry and the regulator, which is good, because if there wasn't, one of them wouldn't be doing their job. But here in Canada, one of the advantages we have is that relationship is very strong between the industry, regulators, and policymakers. So our regulators are continuing to show signs of wanting to, not be complacent. But the other thing is to sort of say to ourselves, okay, do we have all the right pieces in place? And what was interesting today in the session was that one of the things that came out from the audience, and concern amongst many in the audience, was the fact we don't have a common securities regulator or regulation framework. So, it's split up between all of the provincial securities commissions. And that, I think, undermines Canada's role on the global stage. It undermines our ability to punch above our weight as a contributor to global conversations when it's split around across the provinces. Organizations such as TMX have worked out great ways to get around that. So a good chunk of their business now is coming from companies out of, who are other outside the country who are listing on our exchange. And so they've certainly found workarounds, if you will, to resolve it. But it is one of those policy issues that I think Minister Flaherty and Minister Duncan have invested a fair degree of political capital into trying to get it resolved, and I encourage them to continue to try and find a resolution. So overall, it's a great success story, but we can't be complacent, and we haven't got all the problems fixed yet.